and I'm going to share my screen. So we started the forms training. We got through about a little over half of it. So we went through how you can access your forms through the form and form list. And here are all of our forms that I've created so far. And to create a new form, we would use the Create a Form button up here in the top left-hand corner, or we could copy an existing form and just make some changes, some tweaks. So that's a really easy way to make a new form as well. I've been working on this Colorado Title Institute spring session because I think you sent this to me yesterday. So we can go ahead and take a look at this, and I'm just going to select Edit.
Can I send you a new one?
It must be a new one because I thought it was, yeah, it was. Excuse me, it was Jen. She said, hey there, I've attached our registration for our upcoming spring education event. I know we set up the member clicks, the form and member clicks today, and I thought we should put correct and current information in the form as we were setting up.
I sent you an old one, and so she said, well, we have one coming up in April. Okay, perfect.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into this form so we can look at it. To do that, I'm just going to select the Edit button next to the form.
Okay.
So we went ahead and talked through all of the different sections that make up our form. So we talked about the login section, the body of our form. In this case, it's an event section. It could be a general or membership section. We have our summary section.
And so this would be not membership. Do we call this general or no section at all?
This sounds like an event to me.
It's an event.
Like
so we call it
an event. Yeah, it'd be an event registration form. And then we have our payment section, which we'll come back and set up in our confirmation section. So we talked through our different sections of our form. I think we also were able to talk through our form settings.
Yes.
And so the difference between the form settings tab and the element properties tab, which is grayed out right now, is if I click on any of these fields of our form, or sections, or properties, I should say, of each section, it's going to show us what we can do, what we can customize about this specific section or specific field that we've selected. Whereas the form settings tab is really affecting the entire form. And so we talked through the form name, the alias.
Right.
And so on.
Again? Sorry.
Say that again?
What's the alias again?
The alias is going to be what makes up the form URL. So if we went to, which right now it's LATAC, but it will be latc.memberclicks.net/Colorado-spring-session. That will bring us directly to this form. Do what?
They can change it?
Yes, I think we can. Yeah, we can change it to LATAC. I'm just waiting for the system to make a couple changes. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me know so I don't log into the wrong thing.
I will. I'll let you know. And so yeah, so that's the alias. It makes up the URL of the web address. Okay. And then the next tab, the only tab that we didn't get to make it through yesterday, was the Add Form Elements tab.
Okay.
So this is what we're going to use when we're ready to add form elements to our form. So we are only going to be adding elements into the main body of our form. And so that would either be into the event section, the general section, or the membership application section. I want to go ahead and add it into the event section because this is an event registration form. So this is our event section.
Okay.
So you've asked things like organization name, address, phone number, email. I went ahead and added these items. The way that I did that is just by going to our Add Form Elements tab and using our built-in and custom attributes. Now, built-in and custom attributes are going to communicate with the member profile and either grab the information and store it in the member profile or auto-populate it into the form from the member profile. So using our built-ins, for example, organization is a built-in attribute. All I did to add that was grab it and drag it in the form and drop it.
Okay.
We can put it wherever we wanted. If I wanted to change where it was, we could just move it around. And the great thing is it's going to show you exactly where you can add it because it turns green wherever I can add it. So like if I go up here, nothing's green. I can't put it in the login section. I'll drop it and it's not going to go anywhere.
Okay.
It created a new section is what it did, but we want to get rid of that. So same thing with how I added address, phone number, email. I'm just grabbing these different items and dragging them onto the form. Now, if we want to make these items required, I would need to select the field, and we'll always be able to see some type of required toggle or required drop down. So for address, it's actually a drop down. You'll never be able to remember what customizations you can do for every field that you add to your form. So my suggestion is, if you're looking for something, such as for phone number, if you're like, man, I really want this to be required, just start at the top and say, okay, label, that's what it's called phone. Here we've got two different phones. One's a phone, one's a fax. For the phone, it says it's available.
Okay.
We can just use this drop down to make it required. Same for email. So adding built-in and custom attributes is really easy. It's just grabbing and dragging onto the form. We could do the same thing with any of these as well. Maybe we want their website, grab.
No, so when you grab over, then you see its properties. Okay, that's what I was. I was writing a note.
Exactly.
How'd that pop up there earlier when you were explaining it? Okay, makes sense.
Awesome, perfect. I'm just going to delete this. So I just selected that field, and at the bottom of every field, there's that delete button.
How'd you get that nifty little choose a course down there?
That is going to be our next thing we talk about. So built-in and custom attributes are always going to be the same. They're pulling from the attribute section of the products. Like if I go to database attributes, this is where those are pulling from, and we can make edits in this attribute area, and they'll reflect on the form. Form fields are kind of a different beast. So form fields will not be saved in the member's profile. They are only going to be saved in the form submission. That's important for a lot of reasons. You may have an upcoming luncheon, and you need to know what kind of lunch your member's having. Are you having a ham sandwich, turkey sandwich, or veggie sandwich? You don't need to know that Bob had a ham sandwich in his profile for the next 10 years. You just needed that for the form submission. So we would use a form field because we don't need to store it in his profile as a custom attribute.
Okay, but for these classes, I prefer them to be stored in their profile because that's how we'll go back and see what classes they've taken for their hours when we're.
So you do and you don't. If somebody takes this form, you don't want this class to be a custom attribute because some people who don't register are just going to have a random custom attribute, and it's not.
Okay.
It's not. Instead, what you would want is you'll be able to see the form submission in their profile.
So I see what they signed up for. Okay.
Exactly. So we could go to the profile. Like if we went into somebody's profile, let's say this person, there's always going to be a submissions tab. This will hold every form they've ever submitted. So you'll be able to see the forms. You don't need an individual custom attribute for every class they've gone to, though, because those are all going to be custom attributes. They'll all collect down here, and before you know it, you'll have over 100 custom attributes. Most of them are going to be, most will be based on historical data, and it's going to become just a clutter and a mess.
I have a question. I apologize, but I have a question on the attribute because I was, I put all this, I sent an email, I don't know, earlier this week or last week to Jen and Brendan of what attributes we should have, and they haven't gotten back to me. But we have right now as in there is the CTIS rescinded and CESS rescinded. And I'm not sure we need that. And the reason we had it before is the way that our old database worked. I couldn't just uncheck, like if they were CTS, I couldn't just suddenly have them not be CTS before. So I had to have this separate attribute that said we've rescinded it. But if we've sort of checked that they're a CTIS person and if we're the only people that have the ability to check or uncheck that box, I don't need a rescinded box also, do I?
No, it sounds like you wouldn't need that. So this is what I would do is when you talk with them, you guys can access all of your custom attributes by going to database, attributes, and it's at the bottom of this page. And what I would do is if you guys are talking and you're like, we don't need the CESS resend custom attribute, What I would do is just come in here and select edit, put the word delete in all caps, put the old attribute name in parentheses so that we know exactly what it was. And then when you're done, right before we get ready to launch, so coming up soon, you'll just say, hey, Adrienne, I've marked, a couple of custom attributes as deleted. Can your engineers delete them out for me? And I'll send it to my engineers, and I'll have them just.
That through, and I was like, well, this system's different. If I'm the only one that's checking that, whether they have CTI or CS, then I just uncheck it. Whereas my other, it was a different, they had to create a new.
Mm-hmm.
And for the people that have rescinded before, I have that old data. So if they say, well, I thought it was CTIS, and I can go back and be like, well, not anymore.
And what I would definitely recommend is, I would recommend everybody to do this. So that original database that we have, because everything is going to be live changes, you may be getting rid of attributes. What I would do is I would take that database that you used to have, the one that you probably gave Elliot to import. I would go to website, media manager, and I would just save it in your documents folder, or you can maybe create a new folder that says old database. That way, if anybody says, well, why does it say this? Then you can go back and look at that database for reference, just in case you ever need it.
It's an access file. So I can go look at it whenever, right? I have the software access, so I don't even have to have it in there, but that's a good idea because then it's all in one spot.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is if somebody asks you a question, you're not like, oh, what the heck did we do with that database? Like, I'm sure you could find it, but like maybe 2 years from now, if for some reason, I doubt that you would even need to use it, but it's all in here. It's all in the system. Brendan and Jen could access it if they needed to.
Right.
So, it's kind of cool to just have it all in one.
All right. Well, good. I'm glad I asked that because that means I was on the right track. I'm getting it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome.
Slowly but sure.
It all builds.
I'm not trying to complain. It's just you have all your regular work and then,
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to go back into this Colorado form. Okay, so we were getting ready to talk about form fields. So what's the difference between built-in and custom attributes in form fields?
Yes.
Do you remember what the difference was between the two, built-in, custom, and form?
So the form field is like your basic stuff, and that's for one section. The custom attributes is, no, you're going to tell me again. Okay, I would just look at it.
It's okay. The biggest difference is form fields will only store the response in the form submission.
Okay.
Built-in and custom attributes will grab the information and store it in the profile. So if it's something that you need to access for 10 years from now, you would want to create a custom attribute. If it's something you only need for the form submission, if it's what Bob is having for lunch, you don't need to know that 10 years from now. You just needed to know it for that event. Mm-hmm. Same thing with these classes. You really just need to know for the invoice sake, because this will trigger an invoice to be created, that they've come to the one of these 8:30 to 11:30 morning classes and that they paid $90. You don't need it as a custom attribute. You'll be able to go back and review their form submission, look at their invoices to see that, but you don't need an individual custom attribute.
I'll just say forever form field for this form.
Yeah, exactly.
Form.
Exactly. Cool. Okay, so the way that I added this, I used a form field. So I'm going to go to Add Form Elements, Form Fields. I want to walk you through all of these, but I'll go ahead and show you exactly how I created this one first. So I used a selection set for this.
Okay.
I'm just going to grab and drag on the form.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't look like a whole lot right now, but this is going to allow us to add different selections. So the first thing I want to do is give my selection set a title. So the way that I did that is I just took the title from your selection set on your form. I'm going to select the selection set and put it as the label. Make sure we're always putting it in the export name as well. That's created the title of this selection set, of this set of options.
Okay.
Then I took each option that they could check, and I'm going to make this a price field. You don't have to use this as a price field. In this case, there is a price associated, so I'm turning on the price field. I'm going to add selections, option limits, and base prices, and I'm just adding in the 2 different choices that they can select from.
So 90 for member, 150 non-member.
And I'm actually going to put that in somewhere else. So I'm going to take out the pricing.
Oh, I see. You were just copying. Okay.
Yeah, and it just came over the copy. The pricing, I'm going to put right where the $sign is. And I'm going to put the member pricing. I'm going to create the non-member pricing in just a moment. Now, if there were limits, so if you could only have 30 people sign up for the easements 2-3 credit hour course, and only 30 people sign up for the beginning commercial escrow, we could put in 30. And once 30 people chose those, it'll void out the option. So that way you don't have to worry about overbooking classes. Exactly.
Okay.
Now I'm going to save this. Now I'm going to make this, do they have to choose one of these classes, or they don't have to choose one of these classes?
They don't have to. Because because some people might take it on. So we have morning, afternoon, or all day. So if they'll sign up, they'll pick, you could take just morning, just afternoon, or an all day, right? You can't take both an all day and a morning, afternoon.
Right, exactly. That makes sense. And they couldn't choose multiple morning classes because they're all during the morning time, right?
Right. And I would say, like, I've been working here for 6 years. I've had that happen maybe twice, right? And you're like they just didn't read.
Gotcha. So this is only going to allow them to choose one morning class.
Would you say? We do have a thing, I guess this will keep going when we do this, but where they can test out, so they can sign up for morning, afternoon, and a test out, because we do test outs at lunch.
Yes.
Unless you
says, I don't see that in here. So what I see is, so the next selection set, just to show you how I did that again, I'm going to grab this. I'm going to grab a new selection set, grabbing and dragging, and we're just going to build it the same way. I'm going to add a label, make sure we're updating the export name. In this case, the all day is 180. Making it a price field, selection set. Need to get rid of the pricing. And then the price would be 180. Okay. Oops. All right, so these are all member pricing.
Pricing, right? Do we have to redo it for the non-member pricing?
No, we do not. So what we'll do is I'm going to select the morning class field, and you'll notice underneath our options is member type pricing.
Okay.
When I select member type pricing, it looks a little confusing, but I've got the base pricing on the form already. I'm going to use this big bar up here to select which member types are an exception to that pricing rule. Public and prospects.
Love it. Okay.
They're an exception. They would have to pay where was it? 120, 150, and 150. And I would hit save. That's all we have to do.
Why is that one? Something's off on that, but okay. We can mess with those. I think she might have some of that pricing wrong, but that's all right.
Okay. Yeah, and we can always come in here and update this. But this is
pricing should be the same. So the fact that one's 120 and the other are 150 is not, I don't think that's right.
Maybe they should all be 150.
Let's go with that.
Because 2 of them are 150, 1 is 120.
Yeah, I think that's
okay. And then we would just hit save. And if they are logged in as a member, it'll show them the member type pricing. If they're registering as a prospect or a non-member, it's going to show them the prospect or public pricing.
Okay.
So I'm going to do the same thing for the afternoon classes, member type pricing, prospect public. And she has down that the afternoon classes are $150 and then $120.
It's $150, I think.
$150, okay.
We'll double check, but they should both be the same. There's no,
okay.
Whether it's $120 or $150, I don't know, but it should be.
Got it. The same, I gotcha. And then this last one is $460 for the all day.
That's true.
Now, whenever we're using a field on a form to collect money, so this is going to make an invoice, there's one more button that we have to check, and that's edit payment processor and revenue account.
And that's one thing I need to figure out is those revenue accounts with the numbers or not the numbers. I'm still kind of messing with that.
Okay. I'm waiting to update these until we know so that I don't update them all with numbers and then have to go back and delete them.
That's totally on me.
So from here, we just need to select our payment processor, how we want the line item to appear on the invoice. So we probably don't want it to be, choose a course. We probably just want it to be morning classes. And then we'll choose a revenue account. And then from there, we would just hit save. So that's something that's really crucial, and I'd have to.
That is missing from that. She didn't put the CTIS check tests. There's nothing else on that form she sent you?
There's this.
There should be a second page. Keep going. Yeah. Yeah. I was like,
Got it. I don't know how to, testing out of required courses. So they have to pay $25 per each of these that they want to test out, or if they do 4 exams or more, it's $100.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have to get a little creative with that. But one thing I wanted to mention is all of my associations forget to choose a revenue account here. And that's such a pain because you have to tell this money where to go. Otherwise, it goes into just a random bucket. Which we really don't want. We want it going into
that first over member type price. Oh no, edit process. Okay.
Yep, edit payment processor and revenue account, because you want to tell the money what bucket it needs to go into. So that's a really important piece. All right, let's add then she's got we will be providing lunch. So let's go ahead. That's going to just be another selection set, form field, selection set. Same thing here.
On that account thing, I think I'm going to have to call my accountant because it's not obvious to me.
Yeah.
And if he's fine with it, if the numbers are part of it, I think I'm just going to rename them without the numbers. I just want to double check before I start doing that. I just think it'll be cleaner.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people like the numbers, some people don't. I've only ever had one person, honestly. That's why I questioned it, because I've only ever had one association who had the account numbers as part of the name.
Well, in my old job, I took the numbers off. But like I said, I inherited a Peachtree file, and we just switched to QuickBooks like a year ago because I was like, this is dumb. Like I can't, because Peachtree is weird. They only give you 2 years of history, so then you have to save it all. And so I just don't know if there's some sort of reason that I'm not aware of that I need that number stuff for. But I don't see why I don't think you would, right? I mean, we don't have that many income accounts. It's not like we have thousands of them.
Right, and you're searching. Exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's probably good. But I need to call on something else, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we've added in our lunch. They definitely have to, this is required. I see the asterisk, so I'm going to turn on that this is required.
Yeah, that would be, and then half the time people don't check that. And it is really helpful for our counts.
Have to say if they're coming or not, yeah. And then the last thing is you've got testing out of required courses, tests being offered. So what I think I want to do is I think I want to use some field logic on this. So I'm going to add a form field, and I'm going to say, I think this will work. I'm I would like to test out of required classes.
Yeah, I would say courses for certification. Just because we call them courses everywhere else, and I'll get
for certification. Got it. And then what I think, this is going to be a little tricky. I think what we can do is say, required, and I think the way we can do this is say, I will not be testing out of required courses for CTIS. I will be testing out of, it could be like 3,
4, I think. You gotta do 4.
4 or more required courses for CTIS. And then it needs to be,
I would say for certification. Sorry, we need to change that wording, but I guess I could do that later.
No, it's fine. For certification, instead of for CTIS, say for certification.
Yeah, because it could be CESS too.
Okay.
It just makes it cleaner, right? So then we can.
And then I need one more that says
They don't need to do this. They don't have to push this button. It's optional.
So this will be, I will not be testing out of required courses for certification. I will be testing out of 4 more required courses for certification. I will be testing out of, I want to say 3 or less. I know this is confusing, but I'm going to show you why I'm doing this.
Okay, but I'm just saying I don't think we need to have the not unless if I have a concept of what you're doing, but I'll wait and see. Because it's optional. They could just skip this whole piece. This is not a required checkoff.
Okay. Yeah, what I want to do, if they say 4 or more, I'm kind of thinking through this. What I think I need to do is say if it's 4 or more, it needs to say 100.
Right.
And then what I think I want to do is add another field.
Okay, so required outputs. You have this required. This is not required to fill out.
Well, the reason I have it required now is because they can select I will not be testing out of required courses. And if they say I will not be, let me show you what I'm doing. Okay. Let me show you what I'm thinking.
This is the piece that confuses people that have never signed up before. They just randomly sign this up. And I need to know which test they're taking and, you know. Right. So what we can do is say, and the reason I'm making that required is because I'm going to make it a price field. So I'm going to create these different selections they can choose. And if they select up to 3, each of these will be $25. If it's 4 or more, there will not be pricing associated with what they, I'm just going to show you, it's a little confusing. So this would be, I'm going to have field logic, and these will show $25. I'm going to start here, save. This one is going to have field logic, which is at the bottom of this, of the element properties for this, field logic, add field logic. If they say that they're testing out of, if they say I will be testing out of 4 or more required courses, save, then they're already going to be paying $100 here in this. It's already charging them $100 in this field. This field is just telling us which ones they can choose. We need to allow the display type. So what this means is that right now it's a single select, meaning they can only choose one of these. Clearly, based on this question, they can choose multiple. So I'm going to choose multiple select. Now, what I want to do is copy this and just add pricing
and create copy. So we can also copy fields, which is really helpful. And this one needs pricing. So I'm going to say with pricing. We need field logic again, price field, field logic, but this time it's, I will be testing out of 3 or less. And this will only show up if they choose 3 or less. And now I just need to add the pricing, which is 25.
Okay.
Copy this. We'll test it on the front end so you can see what this is going to look like.
All right, and then I'll tell you my concern about making them do this. I see why you kind of have to, I think. But
I could make this not required, and I could take off this. I think I can take this off. What are you thinking?
That's what I want. We're good now.
Okay. We'll test it and make sure it makes sense.
And the reason is because I maybe get one of this out of 100 people each time. So I was like, I don't want to make everyone fill this out because, you know what I mean? I think it'll
Got it.
Yeah.
People can just skip it. No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I think this will work the way it is. Okay. So I also want to just go over with you. We're going to test the form, but first I want to just finish this piece with you. So we've looked at the selection set. We've used it for pricing, all that kind of good stuff. We used it for not pricing. The other fields, what they can do, you probably won't be using a lot of these very often. Country is just a drop down of all countries. I don't know how this would be useful, but
we won't use that, but okay.
Yeah, that's not a super, I'm just going to delete it out. Some other ones would be date. This would give them a field where it'll pop up a calendar and they can put in a date of something. Again, I don't know how useful that's going to be, but if you needed to ask somebody if maybe their birth date or something, you could use this field.
Okay.
File will allow them to upload a file. An image will allow them to upload an image, just so you know what it looks like. It'll look just like this, and maybe instead of file, we would want it to say, running super slow. There we go. Please upload your resume or something like that. So I don't know, a great, that an image would allow them to upload maybe like a logo if it was a company or something like that, but they can upload logos in their profiles. Something that a lot of I've seen my associations do, if you guys have sponsors or want to start accepting sponsors, you can have like a apply for sponsorship form and ask them, you know, please upload a 220 by 220 logo or something.
I like that. Okay.
Number is another special. So number traditionally will only take number fields, no special character spaces, anything like that. Unless you're collecting somebody's social security number, I don't know how many IDs you're going to be collecting.
We would never do that. We would never.
Right.
Okay.
So, but the cool thing that it can do is if we turn on the price field, now we've turned into
I like that.
a price field. So we could say, how many tickets do you need for the upcoming gala or something?
Okay.
And instead of, obviously those tickets aren't $1 each, maybe the tickets are $175 each. That'll update over here. And so now it'll take however many tickets they need and times it by 175 to create the total for the invoice.
That is sweet. Okay.
The other piece to this is instead of a number input, there's a currency input. This is for how much would you like to donate?
Okay.
Make sense?
No, because we put an act donation on some stuff.
Yep, exactly. And so you could use this field for that. Once again, edit payment processor and revenue account.
Gotcha. Key. I put a big star. Don't forget revenue account.
Yes. All right. Then we've just got two more. State is just a drop down of all states, very similar to the country field. And then a text box is just an open text box. So a lot of times what I see this is, please let us know of any food allergies you have.
Or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, or something like that. Okay. All right, so this is everything with the form. Now, a couple other items that we have here. We've got this last tab, presentation.
Okay.
I mentioned on our last training, if you mess up when you're checking those boxes that you check to create your form, if you choose the wrong boxes, it's okay, because you can just manually bring in the events section, and you will have to manually bring in general sections if it's a general form. I just grab and dragged it in.
Okay.
And I can delete that section out. Okay, so those are different sections, bodies of your form. The rest of these literally are just how the form presents itself. So we have horizontal line. Just create some separation in the form, some organization.
Okay.
Label. A label is the same as a text box. So if you needed to, like a traditional text box, if you needed to provide information, description, direction, like you could say, please note there will be no refunds 30 days prior to class start date, or something like that.
Oh,
so if you need to give some type of disclaimer.
You have like cutoff dates and stuff on there, so label good for refund info, etc.
Yeah, you could use the text box anytime you need to give information, or yes, delete. We could also.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So go to our regular form, so go to where it says test being offered. Just slide your mouse down just a little bit. Okay. Can you just say oh, I need to add another test. Do I just click on that? Or no, I just see it from the left. Say you know what I mean? Oh, I want to add another test on there because I see that.
Oh, like another option they could select?
Right.
You would just edit the selections, option limits, and base prices.
Perfect.
And
we're going to add, oh, I was going to give you a name, but okay.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Title 101 for the non-examiner.
Did I spell that right?
Yeah. You're killing it.
Should there?
Yeah, there's.
Should I?
Yes.
Okay. And then we would just say $25.
Right.
And we would have to do that for both because we have two different. Right. So then I would go back up here, edit selections, option limits. Boom.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Page break. So we talked about labels. Page break. They're built in. Usually you won't have to use these unless you have a general form. So a lot of times, so you have the ability to search on who registered for so-and-so event. You can search in your profile list for that. And a lot of my associations, since you have the ability to do that, have started sending out surveys to the people that attended. So you could create a real quick survey form with maybe 20 questions. What did you think of the speaker? What did you think of the class material? What did you think of the lunch? What did you think of the organization of the event? And you can send it to you can send it as a targeted email. When you have that many questions, if you ask 20 survey questions, yeah, you probably want to use some page breaks so that they'll get 10 questions or 5 questions, and then at the bottom of the page, they'll hit next, and then it'll bring up the next 5 questions. So that way they're not scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
In as a direct form? You make your survey a form? Yeah.
You can use a form as a survey.
You don't add it to this form. You just do a new form. Correct?
Exactly. Because we would want to send it out after the event. We wouldn't want them to take the survey.
Gotcha.
While registering for the event.
Okay.
All right. And then lastly, white space is just another type of separator. It's literally just white space.
Gotcha. And you can mess with height and blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yep. I'm going to fix the title because it's. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Nope, I'm done.
How do we see what this looks like to the user?
Awesome question. Before we do that, I want to make sure we're updating our summary, payment, and confirmation sections. So you always want to make sure you're updating those. I'm turning my summary section on. I'm editing the summary fields. Yes, I want them to be able to summarize all the fields.
Okay.
Then payment. We need to make sure we choose our payment processor, our invoice template, which these still need to be made.
And you heard from them, right? We're good to go.
Yeah, I think we're good to go. We'll double check. I can check in the system. And then we can pay later with invoice. Do what?
She emailed me either last week or this week. I mean, it's, yeah, we've been approved.
Cool. Awesome. That's exciting. Here we can allow them to pay later. So that means they can take the form, submit it, and an open invoice would be created for them. So that's awesome. Or we could override the invoice template's due date, meaning that the invoice template, instead of the invoice template determining when the invoice is due, instead we could choose.
You about this, and this may be more for membership. I would say 90% of the people that do our events pay by credit card, right? Some people, we allow them if they want to sort of download the form and mail it to us, hard, like old school, because we do have some rural folks out there that still, you know.
Yeah.
But I kind of, but we want them to, like, I don't let them take the class unless they pay, right? So I guess, is there ability for someone to do that, or do we just have to say you have to pay online? Is that the area where they have to call me and I pop in and check?
Yeah, so that means we're just going to leave this toggled off, and that means they won't have a choice to submit the form unless they submit payment, online payment with the form.
Right. But what if they're the guy that wants to write a check? They wouldn't be able to, right?
He wouldn't be able to, and so he would have to call you and say, hey, I can't register for this because it's forcing me to pay online and I don't want to. And in that case, if you didn't want to enforce that, there's a couple things you could do over the phone with him.
Okay.
But that would be, I mean, that would definitely be kind of forcing people to, it would be forcing people to pay online.
All right, so then I will enable, for dues then, I'm gonna enable them to pay later. Because I mean, some people pay like 30 grand for their dues.
With dues, it's different. So
Right.
dues is different because they just receive an open invoice and they can pay that open invoice at any time, or they always have the ability to download the invoice, print it off, and send it in with a check, which if you've got dues for $30,000, I would totally pretty much make them send you a check. Otherwise, you might be paying an arm and a leg in credit card fees.
I think right now we have some sort of, on our online system, like if your whatever is more than $3,000, we request that you pitch. Like, you know.
Yeah, and if people are following that, that's totally fine.
We have like 3 or 4 that are really big bucks, like over 10,000, and most they've never paid. They've always sent a check, but I mean, okay.
Gotcha. Cool. So we're going to test our form now, and the way that we do that, and this is the easiest way. In your browser, there is an incognito window that you can access. You will never be able to test our forms as an admin, because if the system recognizes you as an admin, it's going to go, why are you taking this form? You're an admin. It's going to be like, what are you doing?
Okay.
So we're going to use our incognito window. You have one as well in your browser. I use Chrome as my browser. What browser do you use?
I always use Chrome. Chrome.
Perfect. So if mine's a little orange round circle with a white arrow inside of it. Yours might be 3 vertical dots stacked on top of each other. Do you happen to see that on your browser right now?
3 vertical dots.
Perfect. And then if you click it, you'll see the option to choose an incognito window.
Okay. I'm actually going to do that right now.
Yeah. Have you used an incognito window before?
You've gone incognito. Okay, that's hilarious. All right.
This is like, also, I don't know if you travel a lot. I fly at least once a month. And if your computer like recognizes, like your browser will recognize that you're looking for flights, If you use an incognito window, it'll keep the prices like at what you originally saw them, but you'll notice if you search one day for plane tickets and then you come back and search the next day, they'll be like $100 more. And that's because they know you're looking for tickets. But if you buy them through an incognito window, they can't recognize that you were looking for them. So life tip, because that has saved me so much money.
I will remember that.
It's crazy. We went to Switzerland in September, and it was like a $500 or $600 price difference just because they saw that I was looking online for tickets. It's weird. Anyways, so from here, this is where knowing what that alias was comes in handy. So I'm going to type in latac.memberclicks.net, but I want to use my alias, which we know is under the Form Settings tab. There's my alias.
Okay.
And we're going to paste it after the /. And this is going to bring us to our form, which will allow us to test it. Oh man, he's trying. He's trying so hard. My designer's been playing around with your.
Oh, it's looking better. I like it better already.
He's really trying. He's been brainstorming. All right, so this is exactly what your members will see. So we're going to go ahead and log in as if we're a new user. So I'm going to put in awarren2@memberclicks. It can be a made-up email. So when you test, I would recommend just creating a new user every time, so that you can always kind of view these as a non-member. The password can be as simple as the number 1, and we're going to create a profile, which is just a prospect profile. From here, we want to register myself. And then I can put in my information. So my name's Adrienne, organization is MemberClicks. Oops. And we've got my phone, email, and then here we go. So do I want to sign up for a morning class? Here are the prices, $150, $150. I'm seeing the $150 price because I'm taking this form as a prospect.
Right.
I'm going to say, yeah, I want to come to this morning class. I want to come to this afternoon class. I'm not doing the all day. Well, I guess technically, no, I'm not going to do the all day class. We'll be providing, yeah, I want lunch. And I'd like to test out of a required courses for certification. I could say, yes, I'm going to be testing out of 4 or more required certifications.
This would be something where I might want to put in the words, even though it says 0 next to it, on the 3 or less. Could I just put in the thing, it would be $25 per, you know what I mean? Because that's confusing.
We can definitely do that. So I've selected what I'm going to be testing out of, and then I'm going to hit next. And I've got my summary page. So it's adding up everything that I said I'm going to be coming to. There's my total.
Okay.
It's giving me a summary. Then I'm going to hit next. And this is where I would enter in my credit card payment for $400.
All right, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You know what to do. If I'm a key employee and I am registering for a bunch of people, because I have a fair amount to do that for these schools, do I have to do this separate for each person, or do I just check off all the people, or how does that kind of work?
So if we go back to the form list, I'm going to go back into that form. It may be like one key contact who's registering a bunch of linked profiles. So we can allow key contacts to register linked profiles.
Okay.
And what's cool about this is, let's take this form as if we were an abstractor. So let's say I am, there's only one linked profile. I'm trying to look for somebody who has a lot of linked profiles.
Go to agent, I can give you some.
That works.
Go down go to the land, or Fidelity. Fidelity would be good too. So you don't have to. Oh, well.
This Fidelity National Title Company.
Yeah, there'll be a gazillion.
Whew. That is a good one. So let's pick I need a key contact. Do we have a key contact for this?
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't see, there's so many pages. Here we go. John Longo.
Yeah.
I'm going to reset his password for him.
You can have more than one key contact, correct?
Yes, you can have as many as you would like.
Okay.
So we've got his username, which we'll update these to their email addresses. I don't like that Elliot does that. And then we're going to go, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go here, new incognito window.
Okay.
I'm going to go to that form again, which was LATAC, but it was Colorado. What was it?
Oh, shoot, I don't remember.
Me neither. That's okay. Colorado. We can always find it. Spring session.
I was like sitting here going, oh.
I know. I thought I had it too. Spring session. And we're going to log in as John Longo. His username, his password was LTAC. Log in.
Okay.
So first, I'm going to say I'm going to register myself. Here I am, John Longo, registering.
But you say like he's not registering. Most of the time these people aren't registering for themselves at all. It's like so John, administrative assistant that's going in there and saying, I'm going to get these 12 people.
Well, if they didn't want to register for themselves, dadgummit. LATA. No, it's not you. Colorado Spring session. And we want to log in as, okay, this time, instead of registering as John, I can just register a linked profile and check this out.
Can you do as many as you want at the time? Or
so we have to choose one at a time because we need to choose like what they're registering for. So like maybe, all right, Laura, we're going to register her. And then it's going to pop up with all of her information. It's going to auto-populate whatever we have in our profile.
Right? All I have to do is add what's missing and throw that in. So it will take time, but that's not bad at all.
Yeah, and then we can just go down here and register another linked profile and choose somebody else, maybe Adam. And we can do this as many times as we want to. Okay. Here's Adam.
Now, what if they're registering for someone that's not linked?
That would be a guest registrant, so we would need to allow.
Yeah, we want to allow that too.
Allow guest registrants. So if they are doing that, let me just, it'll probably pop up here in a second. Add.
That's pretty slick. Okay.
And then, great, now we've got registered guest. It's just going to give me a blank section. So I've got, if we go through, we've got, okay, Laura.
So sort of, if we're saying, hey, member, if you're registering others, please always try linked profile first. If not, add guest. And then we can put them into your profile later or whatever, right? Because guests would still get member pricing, correct?
Ooh, yes, they would. If John is a member and he's logged in, whoever he registers, even if it's a guest, will still get guest pricing. We'll still get member pricing.
Okay.
And you'll notice logged in as John, we see the member pricing.
Perfect.
We don't see. And if we decided, oh man, we didn't mean to do Adam, we could just say, yeah, remove Adam. We don't need him. We can keep going.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And that is how we test forms. Now I've got to, the time got away from us today. I owe you your form.
I'm learning a lot. Like I felt like last time I didn't learn as much, but now I'm feeling really good. If that helps at all.
Good. We were able to slow down a little bit today. The forms we try to do in 1 hour, but I feel like you really need 2 hours to get through all of it. So awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to send you another little follow-up email. I owe you your forms still. And other than that, I have some time scheduled for our next.
Give me a check-off list, Brendan and Jen and I are meeting like for 2 hours Friday afternoon, so we can kind of see what's missing, who needs to do what.
Yep, I'll send you your Go Live checklist, and that will just get you through everything. I'm also going to send you the social community video. There's a video that I learned our social community off of that I can send you. It's really helpful, and I think it's more helpful if you guys watch that video and come to the next training with questions. You may not have any. It's really intuitive. But that way, if we don't have to do a full hour on social community, we can just go into our next call, going through the Go Live checklist, answering any questions, and preparing to go live.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
So wait, so what do we need to schedule our next call, right?
I think we have one. Let me see here.
Because I don't think I have it on my calendar.
We have a Go Live call scheduled for the, Monday at 2 o'clock Eastern time.
Monday the 22nd?
Yeah. Let me invite you.
Yeah, because that kind of is helpful because, and invite everybody, because if it doesn't get on their calendar early enough, then stuff gets scheduled over it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll get all you guys invited. Cool. All right, so I'm going to send you a hefty little follow-up email.
And then if that's when we know if anything's missing, and then if you have to do another one to do the final, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Exactly, and traditionally we would probably do that anyways. So you'll take some time going through the Go Live checklist, and then you may have some questions from it, or something may not make a lot of sense, and we'll have Monday to go through those things. All right, cool beans. Well, let me know if you have any questions. I'll send this follow-up email in just a minute, and let me know if you need anything. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate your time. Talk to you Monday.
I didn't have one. Sorry. Is that, I know you've been sort of every email after you've been sending a link to the taped one. Is there any way you could just send me